obviously I didn't watch a lot of this impeachment, but I think it's because I just didn't feel like there was anything there. It was just all trading talking points. I don't think there was any witnesses who actually witnessed anything.
Nobody has witnessed anything at all. And in fact, the fact that Yovanovitch testified that she had no evidence to offer on bribery, no evidence of any other crime, should have ended the hearing right there. Because according to the U.S. Constitution, you can only impeach the president for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. So if the president hasn't done anything illegal, hasn't taken a bribe, and he hasn't done something else completely grotesque, there's no reason to have an impeachment inquiry. The way that the ambassador lost her job might seem unfortunate, and she is a sympathetic person in that sense, but it also doesn't belong in an impeachment hearing. That belongs in an oversight hearing. So they're subjecting the country to this entire boring, as you put it, detail-intensive ordeal for no reason. Now, that's not to say there was nothing of value in her hearing. It was very interesting to learn that she had been briefed by the Obama administration when they appointed her ambassador about the fact that Hunter Biden, son of then Vice President Joe Biden, was on a corporate board in Ukraine, the board of a gas company called Burisma. She was briefed about it in case anybody in the Senate asked her about it at her confirmation hearing. Now, as it happens, nobody asked her about it. Nobody really even knew about it until last year when Peter Schweitzer, my colleague at Breitbart, wrote the book basically about how the Bidens had enriched themselves through government service. But this was important enough for the Obama administration to try to head off any congressional inquiries that they briefed her on what she should say. And what they told her to say, she testified last week, was that they should refer all their inquiries to the vice president's office. Well, how convenient. If they have a question about whether the vice president should be dealing with Ukraine while his son is on the board of a Ukrainian company, they should just ask the vice president about that. That's not a proper response. I mean, but basically, we know that there were queries to the vice president's office. George Kent testified also last week. He's a bureaucrat in the State Department, that he also had raised the issue with the vice president's office. They told him Vice President Biden is busy dealing with family emergency. His other son, Beau Biden, who was a great patriot, served his country and so forth, he was dying of a terrible brain cancer, and everybody's sympathetic toward that, but it never was brought up again. So queries about Burisma and conflict of interest with Joe Biden, which were clear as day to people who understood what was going on, were never addressed, never resolved. And we now know that the Obama administration took extra steps to fend off any inquiries about that conflict of interest. So we did learn that from her. The media don't understand the details. Nobody has read all of the transcript. I have read or skimmed everything they've released, but I can tell you there are probably about 10 of us who've done it. And while there are very good staffers and so forth in Congress to assist the members of Congress on both sides, I can tell you the journalists aren't doing it. I mean, I can just tell by the questions they're asking, the fact that they seem completely ignorant about some of the details of other testimony. We're handling this solely on the basis of the Democrat talking points. Adam Schiff and the Democrats have sole possession of these transcripts. They don't allow Republicans to view them except one by one in the presence of a Democratic staffer so that they can't copy them and email them around or whatever. So they have to go in and look at a physical copy before they're released. Meanwhile, the Democrats and their staff have these transcripts, and they're able to pull out the quotes they think are best. They put it in a nice little package, almost like a legal brief, and they release it to the media at the same time as the 200 or 300 page transcript themselves. Nobody in the media is going to read the transcript. They read what the Democrats call key excerpts of the transcript. Of course, they leave out a lot of key information. This week, for example, we're going to hear from a guy named Tim Morrison, who was a head honcho of sorts at the National Security Council in the area of Ukraine and European affairs. And he actually said Trump did nothing wrong. He was not concerned about anything that the Trump administration had done that could be illegal or whatever. They leave that out of their key excerpt. Instead, they put all this other stuff about Giuliani and a computer server and all this nonsense that means nothing. They leave out the key excerpt that the senior guy in the National Security Council on this issue and in this subject area said he was never concerned that Trump had done anything wrong. He was not even concerned that Trump had done anything political. He didn't interpret anything that happened in that way. They leave that out of their excerpt. And Republicans take several days to catch up because Republicans have to read these transcripts slowly and carefully, and they have to do it after the Democrats have already released their summaries to the media. So the media just repeat the Democratic talking points. And everybody debates those because nobody's had time to read the entire thing yet. And that's where we are with this whole thing. So, we're dealing with a very difficult situation. And Yovanovitch is a sympathetic figure. She is a long-serving career civil servant. She comes across well. It's interesting, though, that she professes ignorance about anything that Democrats might have done wrong and professes concern about anything the Trump administration does that she doesn't like. There's definitely a bias there. She calls herself apolitical. I don't think anyone can believe that of her or any of these other witnesses who are coming out. I think that they are part of this inquiry for a reason. I think that they could resist this if they wanted to. The fact that they're not doing it, even though they're being subpoenaed, I think they could resist those subpoenas. I think this is an unlawful and unconstitutional inquiry. And anyway, we'll see where it goes. It's going to be an interesting week because many of the witnesses are going to have more exculpatory information for the president that the public hasn't seen and the media won't comment on because the media only comment on the talking points. But you're going to see some people start to draw these points out. If you watch the hearings, you're going to see some of these witnesses testify about things that actually help the president's case. So it's going to be interesting to watch.
That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show, which is a show I do every day. I do a monologue, interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. But you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at premium.rebelnews.com.